Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, you're a nice guy. It's not your fault. You were raised that way. You were brought up that way. And it's actually the best way to be. It's the smart way to be. It's the best way to move forward in life and to build a good life for yourself. And there's no way that the smart, intelligent man in the Western civilization isn't going to grow up to be a nice guy for the most part. So it's not an insult. It's a really good thing, to be honest with you. However, concerning dating, dealing with women and dealing with certain types of people in the world, obviously, it's a double-edged sword. There's some dangers associated with it. And that's what I want to talk about here today. Because it's messed up that nice guys, decent guys, are getting screwed over when they should be the ones who are moving forward in life and building the future. But they're not. They're getting fucked over. They're getting destroyed. And I just want to give some insight and overview to that situation because it happened to me. I get to look back on it and say, oh, that's how I got screwed over on that one, even though it was the right way to go. So let's start at the beginning where if you're not going to be a nice guy, you're not going to make it into adulthood. That's all. You're not going to get out of school. You're going to get punished. You're going to get drugged. You're not going to get the support of the people around you. So it's the smart move. Maybe there's some MGTOW, some older guys that have been through the system and, they've got a really hard attitude. If you'll think back, if you'll be honest with yourself, I believe that most of you would have to acknowledge that that's exactly where you're coming from. You tried to do it the nice way, the good way, the right way, and that's where you get screwed over. And it doesn't have to be that way. Now, I've covered why women hate nice guys in a few other videos. Check those out. And I've gone into some of the deeper philosophical aspects as to why a person is doing what they're doing. Are they doing it just because their instincts and their feelings are prompting them to do it? Or are they doing it because, they've looked at the situation, they understand the costs, the benefits, the potential sacrifices, the potential benefits, and they've decided to go down that road? Because there's a difference. The person who's just going on their feelings, they're going to get all upset. They're going to run into all kinds of tragedies and things that they don't understand that are coming out of nowhere. But the person who's decided and understands where they're going and is going down this road of, having serious relationships with women and things like that, which I don't recommend, they're able to have an overview, a strategic view, and recognize, the situation. It's not blindsiding them. So that's what I'm hoping to provide here. So the young man cannot avoid being a nice guy, trying to get along in the system, cooperating with the system, not being a complete asshole. Inherent in being that guy, he's raised to sacrifice to those that are weaker, to those that are less capable, to women, to the needy, and in many cases, the evil, the exploitive, the dishonest, the lazy, the weak, the manipulative, the hateful, the destructive. And if the young man gives himself over to what society and those around him want him to become, he becomes a servant. And nobody respects that. Now, the message is that if you don't become this kind of a sacrificing servant, that you're not being a nice guy, that you don't get to get ahead in the world. And in many instances, the young man is going to be just going along. Like the woman says, well, you're a feminist, aren't you? And the guy's like thinking to himself, no, of course not. That's retarded. They're just playing the victim. They're complaining and whining. But he's looking at the girl and he says, well, yeah, of course I'm a feminist. See, this is what it requires. It requires, to get along with women, it actually requires complete duplicity of mind. Doublethink and double speak. Thinking one thing, saying another thing. Saying something that is absolutely untrue, and yet saying it as if it's completely true, and you believe it. And you do in that moment for that bit of conversation. So the problem is that once you do that, and I know that that's what the nice guy, the young man of Western civilization, I know that's exactly what he does. That's what he has to do. Problem is, if you do that for too long, you forget. And it doesn't even matter. Because if you just go along with something that you don't agree with for 20 years, well, what does it matter that you never really agreed with it? You never held on to your character. So, there's just one aspect of this double-edged sword about being the nice guy. You want to get along, you want to be agreeable with people, but if you do, you lose yourself and your independence, even if you are only outwardly agreeing. There's one of the dangers that you have to guard against. The young man needs to be true to himself before he's even found himself, and while he's been raised and conditioned to be essentially a servant. And at the same time, his biology is driving him to want to be with women, to want to please those around him, to want to be a blue pill, sacrificing, simping man, because that's what'll make those people happy. And if he does it, he gets rewarded. He gets jobs, he gets female approval. And even if he's duplicitous in his mind, if he's saying, I don't really agree with these things that I'm saying, I'm just saying them to get along, I'm laughing at the boss's jokes, I'm going golfing with the boss, even though I would never golf in my entire life. I think, though, as a person gets older, they learn to recognize, the enjoyment of golfing. Not that I ever have. It's just the older you get, it's like, yeah, that does become exercise, doesn't it? Just walking around. Yeah, it's starting to look not so bad. Sad to say. Now, what do I know? Anyway, now, the more the man is attempting to please a woman by agreeing with her falsely, by this act of duplicity, the more he's, he's pretending to be a nice guy. Even if he's gaining acceptance from the woman or from the group, they're losing respect for him on some level, and he's losing respect for himself on some level. So this is what I'm warning you guys against, suggesting that you guard against. That while trying to please others around you, while trying to learn the ropes and the systems around you, that you still hold on to yourself, that you don't completely sacrifice yourself, and that you certainly don't do that as an act of, trying to prove your worthiness. Because that's like the ultimate nice guy act. That, oh, look, I'm trying to sacrifice all the things that I care about just to get along. Won't you like me now? And the answer is no, you piece of shit. I like you even less now. It's disgusting. That's how I see it. And I believe that's how women look at it also. So this is why my advice of, being able to look at a woman and saying, no, I don't really trust relationships with women in this day and age, when women can replace a man so easily, when they hold him in such slight regard, when the media and social media suggest that, men are such garbage in Western civilization and that women are such victims, when the truth is women have never had it so good. There is no pay gap from women from the ages of 22 to 29. They get paid more, and it's like, gee, I wonder why. And gee, I wonder why we have so many service jobs and so few manufacturing and production jobs in our society. And I wonder why there's so many, elderly, out of shape, doting women and weak men filling all your government jobs and corporate jobs. And why all your strong and fit and healthy men are driven out and there's no jobs for them. Gee, I wonder why. So that's why the young man has to act that way. Otherwise, he's going to be driven out and people just won't like him. Anyway, I'm sorry to say it like that, but you know what I mean. So how far into that trap of being a nice guy and pleasing others does a young man need to go before it starts to destroy him? Or he recognizes there's no coming back? Or he sacrificed so much to win the graces of a woman or a group or a company that they now look upon him as nothing, and he looks upon himself as nothing. So that's part of this double-edged sword that I'm talking about. I guess I'm talking about the danger of being a nice guy too much and losing yourself in trying to please others. And at the same time recognizing that, yeah, you've got to go down that road no matter what. I mean, you're a craftsman and you want to get paid? Well, you better do a good job. and we're going to be checking your job. You know what I mean? And it better be good. Otherwise, you're not getting paid. So it's not like you can reject this idea of pleasing others. You can't. But can you do it without losing yourself? It's a little tricky. I don't have the answers here in these videos. These are short, daily videos for MGTOW, for men, to try to give them a positive outlook on, what I believe is a negative situation in the world today regarding men. These are good guys. These are nice guys. These are guys who are trying to do what's right in the world. And they're the ones who are getting abused by the system that placates and caters to women, that pretends that a weak man who isn't even trying to take care of himself, needs to be taken care of and looked after and considered. That a foolish child who hasn't experienced anything in life and who has nothing but their ideals is now going to come out into the world in their early 20s and demand that the world conform to their ideals, when their ideals are those of fantasy or those of an emotional child. The man learns through his 20s and 30s that it just doesn't work that way. The woman never learns. She just keeps throwing these emotional fits. And so do many of the men as well. But I'm going to leave it at that for now. So that's my message. That's the video. So let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I hope to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.